I had a very good experience working with Ron Howard on Cowboys and Aliens was the movie we did. It was something he had developed with Steven Spielberg. He had a take on it, a vision for the thing. It was I really was looking forward to working under both of them to learn. So in that particular instance, it was really learning what those direct how they work. And what was nice about both of them was that they get to direct when they want to direct, and when they're producing, they're choosing to produce. And it was very helpful for me because oftentimes the most frustrating thing, I don't care if it's a producer, an editor, an actor, if somebody wants to be doing a job other than they're doing and they don't have the ability to do it, they tend to try to influence the process in ways that sometimes gets uncomfortable. A guy like Ron Howard, he's directing, and so when he's producing, he really is like, what can I do for you? How can I help? You ask advice, and there's a mentoring relationship that's really fun and really exciting. And when I worked on Iron Man 3 as an executive producer and didn't direct, I tried to bring that experience to dealing with Shane, who was, had only directed one movie before, Shane Black. And so it's always, if you come with the energy of being of service, and by the way, that extends to directing when you're dealing with actors and your crew, I find that, and in life, honestly, it generally brings out the best in everybody, and you go furthest. And so when I'm looking for a producer, I'm looking for somebody who's of service to the project and the vision of the thing. And depending on the level of it and how much politics, you want somebody, if you're dealing with a network, you want somebody who interfaces well with the power structure. If you're not dealing with politics, it purely becomes about people with boots on the ground experience, generally people who've worked their way up from onset experience, so they understand the realities of it. And then you get a very exciting, nimble, motivated group.
All right, this is Cory Hunter, and I'm back with another episode, another speech, another tip from directors with tips. In this one, we're talking about something that Jon Favreau said. I hope I said his name correctly. All right, so in this tip, in a speech, in a statement, he speaks about finding a good producer for the most part, and then his answer breaks off into a few different directions. So yeah, man, how did I take it? What do I think of it? Do I agree with it, and will it make you a better filmmaker? All of the answers to all of that is yes. I agree with him, and I do think taking this advice will make you a better filmmaker because it will help you choose who you should and shouldn't work with. When I hear his answer, what I think of is true leaders. All right, now for those of you who don't know, I'm attracted to those stories that take place in like the medieval times. That's why I was attracted to like Game of Thrones. That's why I'm attracted to the King Arthur myth. It's also the aspect that first drew me to Dune before I started getting acquainted with the deeper themes of the novel. So, in all these books, there's royal families, there's power structures. In life, there's power structures. In the workplace, there's power structures. In filmmaking, there are power structures, all right? Now, people use their power and influence in different ways. Some people like to move their weight to attain what they want. And I think he touches on that, but not in those words. So, filmmaking, man, like you get producers and sometimes people don't know what they're doing. But the funny thing in life is that, we always talk about honesty and truth and being embarrassed and breaking through or whatever the case may be. Like all the good qualities that we learned in kindergarten. But, it just don't work as an adult. So when you don't know something as an adult, instead of people saying, oh yeah, that's fine, someone's going to say that's completely unacceptable. And because we know this already, regardless if it's true or not, we just don't admit that we don't know. So, we rather be wrong and strong than, wrong and humble. In a lot of situations, when you humble yourself, you're giving somebody else power over you. And we already know the theme of power. He or she who has power tends to abuse it. It's just the way it is. On film set and filmmaking, sometimes we get producers, and producers don't know how to be producers. So therefore, instead of standing around seeming useless, they're doing way too much. You get me? A producer is there to support the director. Sometimes they don't know how to do that. What they much rather do is do what the director's doing. And that's not good, because that means they don't know what they're there to do. You get me? It means they don't understand the process. And that's what I mean about true leaders. True leaders understand their soldiers because they was in the soldier's perspective once upon a time. It seems like there's a lot of leaders and a lot of people in power who's never been on the bottom line. You get me? Which is why filmmaking is unique, because there's a bunch of people who's been on the bottom line. So as they climb the ladder, in whatever way they climb the ladder, they hold on to those experiences. And most of those experiences is social experiences, in terms of they gain an experience by the relationships around them, nurturing relationships. It seems like they go hand in hand. So as they go higher and higher up the ladder, they do not forget those values. So when they supposed to take on a producer role, rather than fighting for leadership, they're taking on a mentor role. Because as much as we all love Luke, we all need our Yoda. And those who went up the ladder understand the significance and importance of Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're not fighting to be Luke, because they know on their set they are Luke. So they are comfortable with themselves to play their position. And that's a quality of a true leader, to be able to take off one hat and put on another and be faithful to that role. Somebody who know how to support others. So with that said, yeah, man, he was talking about directors and picking producers and with the looking to producers. And another thing he touched on is knowing what you need, when you need it, and why you need it. Sometimes we take advice and we're taking great advice and using it for the wrong situations. Like, that's just what it is. Sometimes, man, you're not in the position to use those abilities just yet, to use that advice just yet. For example, he was speaking about a producer, and he was like, look, man, if it's a big major project where there is a studio involved, you want a great producer who has a great relationship with the studio and who will also sympathize with you. Therefore, you got a good buffer between you and the studio, right? So that's the producer everybody think they want. If you don't have a relationship with a studio, if you're not working for a studio, if you're doing a passion project, why does that even matter? It wouldn't work in your situation. In your situation, you need somebody who's done this, who's been on the bottom line, and who understand what you're doing, how you do it, and who know how to support you. So what you're looking for goes hand in hand with exactly what you're doing at the time. So pretty much, man, what we want to do is beware of these false prophets, all right? We don't want to get producers or work with anybody who's doing way too much. You get me? We don't want an actor who's an editor. We don't want an editor who's a producer. We don't want a producer who's a director. We need everybody to come together and play their role. That is what collaboration is. When I go somewhere to help somebody, I am a helping hand, because it's not my project, it's somebody else's project, and I am there to support them. So, sometimes you just gotta learn to shut up, man. I understand everybody got an opinion, but sometimes your opinion isn't important unless asked. And if you take on a mentor role, you give your advice without sabotaging the project, because that's what you're doing. When you're not playing your role, you're sabotaging the project. You get me? And there's a lot of ways to sabotage things and seem like the good guy. We don't want to do that. We want to be honest. We want to be true to ourselves. So just like we don't want to be those people, we got to learn to also not choose those people to be part of our team, so that the project can be as best as it can be. Woo! There we go. That's what I got for you today, all right? So we want to be able to choose people who is reliable, who want to play the role, because that's the thing. We want to get people who wants to play their role. And I think that's a big part of like picking strong people for your team. We don't want to just pick people and force them to be actors for us, using guilt or whatever the case may be. We want actors who want to be actors. We want somebody who says, oh yeah, this is something I want to do and I've been wanting to do it, and oh yeah, you're giving me an opportunity to do it, because now they're taking it serious. We want people who wants to edit, and especially editing, because editing is something that it's something you must want to do, because if you don't want to edit, it becomes a problem real quick, because people who don't want to edit isn't aware of how much knowledge and time and how time consuming it is. Editing is a big job. So we want to get people who want to do these jobs, because then they want to play their position, because they want to master whatever aspect of the filmmaking process that they're focused on in order to make the entire project better overall. So we want to do that. And not only picking people, but also what type of people best fit what type of situations. Not only do we want to pick somebody who wants to act for us, right? But we also want to pick somebody with the skills and the requirements that matches the script. I don't want to pick a comedian for a drama role unless that person can do that or wants to do that, and so on, so forth. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for spending time with me. Do not forget to like, subscribe, share. I appreciate you. If you got any questions, leave the questions in the comments below. And as always, until next time.